Welcome back, everybody. Derrick Sue, your East Oakland advocate. Well, a few of you have been asking, what was that you taught your 10-year-old son where he was able to take on three opponents and defeat them? And that was only with 14 hours of mixed martial arts training. And here's what's different about what I learned and what I teach versus everybody else. I was brought up and trained in a whole different style. My style was number one, Wing Chun, and nobody at the time back in the 60s and 70s really knew about that fighting style because karate and judo were the dominant martial arts and what people were familiar with. And the difference with the training that I received versus karate and judo is that in my training, there's no rules. Literally, there are no rules, and we are trained to use anywhere from 50% to 80% of our actions to be real life strikes and blocks and traps, and we don't have we didn't have the gis, the uniforms like karate and judo. We came as we are. Think about this. If you got into a fight or an engagement, are you going to stop and wait? Whoa, 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 let me get my gi on. No, that doesn't happen. You fight with whatever you are wearing. And so that's how we train. We fight with what we're wearing and what's on us and how to take advantage of that. And I started in 1968, shortly after I became 8 years old, because at the time that's where most of the Oakland Chinatown Sifus were taking students in. And that was at an age where you're not so delicate that they have to worry about you, and especially with the hard strikes that real life full contact training, you have to be pretty damn tough. And at that time, I had proven myself to be pretty stubborn to my grandfather and my family, because you could get me to cry. No matter what you did, no matter how much you hit me, no matter how much you beat me, you may make my eyes well up a little bit, but you did not make me cry. And so that was one of the things that my grandfather saw in me, and that's what allowed him to put me into mixed martial arts or into Wing Chun training at the time. Because number one, I was getting bullied a lot because I was smaller than average of the kids. And at the time, it was predominantly white. Then my neighborhood had the white flight in the mid to late 60s. And so neighborhoods changed from Caucasian to black, and it was much later on Hispanics, but it was predominantly the black kids that moved in. And so I I was bullied by them too. But the difference is that when I encountered them, I was pretty ruthless with how I dealt with them, and nobody ever wanted to have seconds of me after a fight, because I put a pretty good hurt on them. And here's the thing: I started at 8. By the age of 12, I had the full ability not only to break bones, break joints, and put you seriously in the hospital, but I was also lethal, meaning I could take your life at age 12. And so this is why there's so much emphasis put on morals, ethics, and for some, or for majority of you, rules. And that was the difference with my training. There was no rules. rules like, what's that? How do you spell that? Because anything went. and that's how I train. And the problem with a lot of martial arts these days, that's what you see. There's rules, there's limits as to what you can and cannot do. Just like when I was homeless, there were many times that police officers, uh, that I spoke with, they said, "Well, why don't you come join us?" And then I actually looked at um, a Captain Wingate, in the day, and said, number one, I'm too old. Number two, you guys have too many limits to to for me, because I can kill the person with my hands, and I can do it in under 12 seconds. That's how lethal I am, and that's what allowed me to be extremely successful when I worked my special operations with the DoD, because I was lethal. So anyway, here's some of the things that a little background on my stepson. He was 10 years old, and a lot of you know that my second wife, she was a model. She was very tall, and her family was very tall. So my stepson, he was taller than average. At age 10, he was about 8 inches taller than kids his age, his own peer group. And so he got picked on by older kids constantly. And this was in a very white city of Alameda. And we lived out in Harbor Bay Isle, so a very well-to-do area. But again, like I said, because of his height, a lot of people thought he was older. And so you get the teens in the neighborhood that picked on him. And he still has the mindset of a 10-year-old, whereas these teens have moved on and have gained more street smarts. Whereas, my stepson, he wasn't, the brightest bulb in the box to begin with, but uh, he came back crying a few times, saying that some kids beat him up, uh, and he didn't know who they were, and he was being bullied because he's tall. And so I said, well, I had the opposite of you when I was your age, and so here's what I'm going to do. You work with me a little bit, and I guarantee you that will never happen again. And so he took me up on it. So what were some of the things that I taught him? Uh, Number one, I have a program because I used to teach some classes for um, women and children who were victims of domestic violence, and so I taught a 2-hour defensive course to women and children, children as young as 8 years and up, and women of any size or stature. Uh, and it didn't matter if you were old, because I think my oldest uh, female student was 72, and she did really well, and she surprised herself because the techniques and what I teach are uh, very easy to learn, very easy to your learning curve is going to be very short. And so the basics of the 50-hour course, number one, is the basics of blocking. And then on top of the blocking, we're trapping. We teach you how to trap their throws and everything that they throw at you. Along with that, you're creating striking opportunities. And so um, those are some of the things that we work on, and they're very basic. And one of the best teachers for blocking and trapping is a technique called sticky hands, and you can look that up on YouTube. Just type in sticky hands martial arts, and you'll be able to see what we do. And what it does, it teaches you how to uh, read the muscle movements, the arm movements, the hand movements of the hands hands, arms, and teaches you how to block, counter attack in ways that you normally would never see or do. And so sticky hands technique is a very important basic of Wing Chun, and also a basic of how I fight, because my how I fight, you see fights on professional fights on TV, and there's like a 6 foot circle, 8 foot circle that, and there's distance between the combatants. Well, I take away all of that. My fight circle begins at 36 inches, and then I start closing that all the way down to 20 inches. And you say, well, you're going to get killed in that. No, because when you do it right, you block, you trap, you get inside that 20-inch circle. You have now taken away all of the long shots and the deadly blows of your opponent. Literally, you have taken them away. And so now you're up close and personal. And now, if you have not trained in fighting like that, but you're used to throwing fists at distance, at an arm distance or even half the arm distance, I take that away, because my hands, arms, everything is blocking everything you're throwing at me. But what I'm doing, I'm throwing stuff at you that you're not expecting. Elbows, forearms, wrists, the hammer fist, all of these, especially the elbow here, just up, 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 either side. And then also thrusting outwards. So there's a lot to this. And my stepson at age 10 was able to defeat and level all 3 of his opponents, which he estimates were about 13 and 14. So they were significantly older than him. They were probably slightly taller than him, but the numbers, it was 3-on-1. And he was able to, with the sticky hands technique, he said he blocked everything that they threw at him, and he blocked even their kicks. But he was able to retaliate because he brought them into the short circle, the small circle fighting, which I taught him. And his circle was about 24, 26 inches, where mine is 20 inches. So I'm up close and personal. We're almost kissing. But he was able to draw each one in, one at a time. And the thing is, in a fight like this, you cannot focus on the group. What your main objective is to dwindle the numbers quickly as possible. And that's what I teach, dwindling the numbers. Yes, you're going to get hit. Yes, you're going to get some punches on you, but you do it right with the blocks, the sticky hands technique. You are a lethal weapon. There's very few strikes that are going to come in that are going to be of any significance with the sticky hands technique. And then with the up close and personal, the small circle fight, a 20-inch circle, 24-inch circle, you take away the long strikes of your opponent. And then that's where your short strike game comes into play, because not only do you have left, right, you also have the dragon's kiss, the forehead, coming in. And what you want to do is strike either right between the eyes, bridge of the nose, or upper cheeks just below the eyes. Those are the strike points for your forehead. And you're going to hurt yourself. Actually, you're not. It's pretty thick right there. There's an area right in here. This is your striking zone on your opponent. You use that. You can literally knock the person unconscious. And then also with your elbow strikes, I've knocked people's teeth out because you're going to get into it and you're really going to twist your body. And then at the same time, you're moving around them and pushing them and then striking them at the same time with that push. So you're avoiding them. And it's comes back to the term that Bruce Lee coined, be water, my friend. Be water. And so you're constantly moving, you're constantly flowing. And that's the key to winning a fight. Uh, Number one, the close in circle game, and then flowing like water. And so the other thing with that, there's a lot of rules. A lot of you have a problem being called a cheater in a fight. Well, in a street fight, there is no cheating. Everything goes, people. And I grew up street fighting from the age of 6 when I first entered elementary school to present day. Street fights, there are no rules, people. Stop thinking about rules. Go no rules. That's how I train. No rules. That means anything goes. Also, if I need a weapon, I have unconventional weapons training. And so I can make a drinking straw, dangerous by utilizing the opportunities to poke the person's eyes out or jamming the straw so far up their sinuses that it touches their brain literally. Um, and, so, and you should see that, the look on people's face on that when that happens. And yeah, brings up the question that some of you are asking, well, how many people have you killed? Well, let's just say I stopped counting. I stopped counting. I was 20 years in special operations. There are a lot of dangerous missions. Also, I've been hurt on at times. So it's not a career for everybody, but it was a career that was for me, that I had always envisioned, and I was able to complete it. And along the way, I was able to help some people build some confidence and gain some self defensive skills. But brings me to a time when I was homeless, and there was a lot of people, testing me and really trying to bully me because, number one, I wasn't black. I didn't represent and look like the neighborhood, and so a lot of the early homeless that came to challenge me, said, "You don't know anything about East Oakland." I said, "Actually, I do." And they, "Well, what do you know about it?" I said, "I grew up on 64th Avenue." And then that changed a lot of people. You grew up on 64th Avenue? Because 64th Avenue was a main throughway, and a lot of bad things happened there. And if you were able to say, and you survived all these years, you grew up and walked 64th Avenue, that earned you a lot of respect with a lot of the thugs that ran the streets. And I have a lot of respect on the street. There are a lot of criminals that I've put behind bars. They're out now, and they remember me. They remember some of the things that I did. And I trained for multiple attackers, because that's how the street goes. If you were attacked by one, that's not a big deal. But being attacked by anywhere from 3 to 6 was very common. And so that's why I have significant advantage over a lot of people, because you have not had the training that I have had. And especially when you are training for multiple attackers, which is the most dangerous and the most difficult to overcome. But with proper training, it can be done, and it is done. I've done it. And I do it regularly. I still do it today, because the last time I was attacked, it was in my camp by 5 people. They tried to take me out, essentially, all 5 of them. But in 4 seconds, I put down the first 3, and those first 3 were the biggest. And then the 2 trailing ones behind them, they saw what I did and how quickly those 3 went down, and they were staying down. They backed up. So I didn't need a gun in that case. If you're a master, triple master in mixed martial arts like I am, The gun is a last resort, or you see somebody with a gun coming at you. That's when you use it. But other than that, my mixed martial arts, I am a walking lethal weapon, and that's the way it should be. Um, I don't let people take advantage of myself, and I don't let people take advantage of other people in my circle. Thanks for joining me today. Hope that helps you. If you have questions or would like to know something, leave it down in the comments. I do answer that. Also, if you really like what I presented here today, subscribe because I have plenty more coming. Thanks for joining me today. We'll be right back.